The Irvine Fine Arts Center is the place to see the work of two featured artists whose work is very different yet connected.
This exhibition is called Repeat. It's by artist named Leslie Kais Nishigawara, and she focuses a lot on grids and patterns and structures that she observes in the environment and how those things kind of shape the way that we interact with the environment. She works with fiber and textile and soft materials, but she's also working with paper and photography.
She created two site-specific installations for this exhibition that take a look at the architecture and try to bring it into a new light.
When I came into this space, I was thinking about a gallery space and how typically there aren't windows in a gallery space, but then I thought I need to acknowledge that, but also define the space. So I created this large grid structure that goes around the seating area, so you can still see through the grid structure and see the lake. You can also sit in the seating area, but it also defines the space at the same time. So it's defining, acknowledging, but redefining the space, I guess.
The second exhibition is called Moving at a Snail's Pace in Geologic Time by artist Eric Stoner.
Eric has been working on these pieces for over a decade, and they're very autobiographical, they're very multi-layered, and they're collages, but they're collaged in a very kind of unique way. He doesn't use adhesive, he's using a lot of nails that allow him to kind of pull pieces back from what he's creating and kind of reimagine things as he goes.
As a way of seeing in hindsight what the mistakes I had made in that time, but also the things that happened that were beautiful, the relationships that happened that were beautiful, the experiences that happened that were beautiful, and the memories associated with that, down to the details and the materials of artists that I was working with or friends or things from my history of music I was listening to at the time. They all seem to find their way and weave into the narrative, and that's what makes them really special to me, and that's what takes so long. And a lot of these periods that happened, I'd say, were very difficult, but when I was looking back at them in hindsight and the amount of time that it took to make the works, I was able to look at them much more objectively, which allowed even for humor to come into them, because I look at these and they're funny.
As part of the reception, the artists held a special talk.
We decided to invite the artists to do a little talk about their show to give the public an opportunity to engage with them and learn something about the work that they might not necessarily learn from just seeing it, and the backstory and behind the scenes of the process of creating the works.
There's a wonderful juxtaposition of the intense emotional busyness of Eric's work, and then the fabrics, the fineness of the material that's being used, and the simplicity that also is very complex, but in an extremely subtle way.
These collages are amazing. There's just so much creativity, so much different media that are in them. But just by looking at them, it's overwhelming to even imagine how he had that creativity and that imagination to put it all together. And when you look at it, you realize that although it's his life, we can totally relate to the truth that he tells about life, that we're related to it. We can find pieces that totally relate to our lives. So it's very interesting.
I actually got a little emotional in there. I actually teared up a little bit when a lady asked a question, and she talked about how much she identified with his art. It's really great to see him have his own exhibit. It's wonderful.
So even the people that are here feels very much like family to me, that have come to see it, because it's mostly people that are close to me that have seen this grow. Totally enmeshed in the art world, I photograph for major museums and major artists and collections in art galleries from all over Southern California for the last decade, but I've never made a statement, in my own artwork. I guess I could say I feel like I have permission to start moving on the next pieces.
If you want more information on this and future exhibits, visit the Fine Arts Center's website. For Irvine Scene, I'm Jacqueline Twag.